Hey guys, welcome to another MS2 video, and today I'll be going over some classes that you guys might want to try out in case you're not really sure who to play first, so let's get on with it. To preface, I'm not saying these are the best classes in the game. The cool thing about MS2 that used to be present in MS1 before the game devolved into whichever class did the most damage is that each class in this game has their own unique function. MS1 has a ton of classes you can choose from, which gradually undermined the importance of each class due to power creep until it became a contest of brute force rather than utility, defense, and what have you. In MS2, however, we have 11 classes for you to choose from. Heavy Gunner and Ranger make up the Archer branch, then we have Priest and Wizard as the Magician branch, Assassin and Thief for the Rogue branch, Berserker and Knight for the Warrior branch, and finally the Runeblader, Soulbinder, and Striker for the Special class. You might be asking what special classes are. They're essentially kind of like Nexon doesn't really know exactly where to put them, so they just throw them in a random pile. But putting it simply, Runeblader is a fusion of Warrior and Magician, think of it like a magical warrior. And then we have Striker, which is basically Buccaneer from MS1, but due to the absence of a Pirate branch, it's just a special class. And then finally, Soulbinder, it's a hybridization of a Wizard and a Priest, much like, say, Necromancer and other MMOs where you have equal parts damage and sustainability. Since there are only 11, I'm sure you guys can eventually play through all of them in due pace. The tutorial quests by themselves will take you to level 50, which gives you more than enough time to figure out if that class suits your playstyle. Which brings me to my most important piece of advice that I said back in MS1 every time I made a top 5 video or top 10. Play what you find fun. The classes I'm playing mostly when I play MapleStory 2, it's going to be Runeblader and Assassin, which may be inferior to other classes. In fact, I would wager in this game support and utility are far more valuable than DPS since dungeons and raids demand adequate teamwork and collaboration to be bested. Either way though, going by most of the information I have, I'll be telling you guys what classes I recommend to play just to get started on the game, so without any further delay, let's get started. First class I want to talk about is the Priest. Unfortunately, in MS1, Priests have lost much of their exclusive value with the advent of self-sustain abilities and items that new classes and revamped old classes had. But in MS2, they regained their unequivocal support capabilities, and as such, they're required for pretty much any party. Like in any MMORPG, Priests are the healers and supporters of the crew. They can provide assistance to their tanks and DPS by healing them and replenishing their stamina points as well, which is basically mana in this game. We have some notable abilities here. It's obviously their trademark heal ability, which restores up to 6 allies within a small radius plus yourself based on a percentage of your magic attack, which means the stronger your damage is, the stronger you heal as well. There's also Heaven's Prayer. It's a channeling ability. It lets you use alongside Heaven's Guardian, which is an ability that summons an angel type monster to guide you in battle. The regeneration potency is the same as heal, albeit with a larger target count and a larger radius. This ability can also be channeled, so you can continuously regenerate your allies provided you just stand still. Holy Symbol is in this game as well, but instead of granting bonus experience points, it places a restorative area on the ground that recovers SP to all friendlies that stand in proximity. This will be almost essential ability for raids since you can't recover SP points by usage of potions and you won't have many monsters to kill to recover SP that way. They can also give some defensive augmentation for your party members, giving you both physical and magic mitigation, which will allow your squishies to be a little bit more resilient and make your tanks almost invulnerable. That such ability that I'm talking about is the Shield of Archon. It buffs their party members with a shield that blocks a flat amount of damage and it throws a little bit of poke to nearby enemies. Priests do have damaging abilities, but their ratio's not that great, which means you're going to want to gang up with some buddies to level up and train, especially for the early levels, which isn't a challenging task. I'm sure everyone is looking forward to playing MS2 with friends. If you plan to make a party to level up, and you should, because it's more beneficial, it's more fun, one of you should be a priest, because you'll save a lot of headache for yourself and your friends. Next up we have the Heavy Gunner, which is by and large is a cannoneer and mechanic mixture from MS1. True to their name, they have the potential to inflict massive amounts of damage and dish out huge doses of wave clear if used properly. If your team needs someone to take out large waves of monsters, then you should definitely get a Heavy Gunner. Their arsenal is packed with a ton of long range and wide area of effect abilities, such as Gatling Fire, which allows you to shoot as many enemies as possible in front of you, and it recovers SP, so you can continue to fire without needing to catch your breath. Flamethrower, obviously every Heavy Gunner needs one. It helps you with taking out larger clusters of enemies that are a lot closer to you, and like any flamethrower, you can hold the key down and run around to just waste anything in front of you. Some more heavy hitting abilities like Electric Blast and Rocket Launcher, they make Heavy Gunners incredible backline DPS too, so they require a hefty amount of SP to use their abilities, but with the highest SP recovery ability and attack range, you should be set. Just make sure you don't unload all of your attacks on whatever is in front of you. You want to space out your abilities properly so you don't burn out on SP and end up sitting around and doing nothing for a couple seconds. While they're mostly oriented towards DPS, they have some utility. It's offensive utility, but utility nonetheless. There's Grenade. It lets you throw a couple pineapples in front of you and explode, which damage nearby enemies with the chance to stun. This will be your bread and butter crowd control and cover fire ability to use, especially when needing to reposition, since melee is not your thing. Landmine, it places a bomb in a target tile, which if stepped on, it explodes and deals heavy damage to all targets in the area. Once again, a good cover fire escape tool should you need to run away from enemies, so plan these babies ahead of time before you go charging in like a headless chicken. All in all, heavy gunners, they just like to kill stuff. If you're a fan of the class whose pure intent is to just blow up your entire screen, then go right ahead and have some fun with the heavy gunner. I should warn you though that while heavy gunners do tons of damage, they're also pretty slow, since a good number of their abilities have long skill animations, which means you need to stand still to unleash heavy fire, which, makes sense. If you have a big ass weapon like say a minigun, you gotta stand still to use it. Be mindful though that heavy gunners are still of the archer branch despite their very heavy looking appearance and playstyle, so watch your HP as best as you can. Never hurts to have a priest. They can keep you nice and healthy and recharge your SP fast, so if you have a friend who plays one, then just go nuts. I personally prefer speed over power, so I might not see myself playing the heavy gunner, but I can definitely appreciate the practicalities of having one, especially for boss raids. And the third and final class we have is the Berserker, which is probably the easiest offensive class to play mechanically, since as the name implies, you have just one job: go in there and tear stuff apart. They have abilities that entail you to run face first into a cluster of mobs and then face roll the entire keyboard and hopefully kill all of them. Take Rage Slash for example, which violently swings your sword in front of you, kind of like a fly swatter. If your attack hits, you get some SP back. Now here's the best part. This ability can be spammed as long as you hold on to it, which means as long as you keep hitting something, you can keep using it. Then with a sweep, it's kind of like Rage Slash, but it's a full 360 spin slash, so it has more attack range and higher damage potential at the expense of SP. But guess what? You can also spam this ability, which means if your SP allows for it, you can Beyblade DPS all over the place. Berserkers do have a bit of range in their kit, such as Wind Cutter. It lets you send out a Wind Slash that damages all enemies in a straight line. Definitely good if you need to take out columns of enemies headed your way. But Berserkers use a lot of their offensive capabilities in sacrifice of their HP, similar to Dark Knights in MS1. To make up for your need to spend health, there are abilities like Wound Explosion and Bloodthirst, which will let you recover by dealing damage, but that's the main caveat. To heal, you need to put yourself in danger, but by putting yourself in danger, you run the risk of accidentally killing yourself. So while Berserkers, true to their name, love going ham all over the place, you have to be very careful and watch your HP, since they can take a lot more damage than they can heal, and if you can't constantly be dishing out DPS, you're gonna run dry of health potions too. Now you're starting to see why the Priest class is so helpful. It can basically mitigate or even remove the risk of DPS classes getting in trouble with their defensive abilities, especially if there are more than one Priest. In a sense, they are the most valuable class in MapleStory 2. Recovery by means of items is not as efficient in MS2 as in MS1. Potions and most consumables, they have cooldowns on them, and typically they don't regenerate as quickly. Like we had power elixirs back in MS1, we don't have any of that, at least like currently right now in MS2. Right, so that takes care of it. I only mentioned 3 classes in this video, but you're welcome to play any class you like. I would say that they're fairly balanced, all of them are relatively within league of each other. It's just that, support is going to be much more favored. It's because during boss raids or parties, I'm sure it goes without saying. There are other classes you can play that are relatively easy to learn, but I think that those 3, they're a good benchmark for you to start off if you don't know what class you want to play yet. I'd say give those 3 a try. You have a mage, you have a warrior, and then you have an archer. The reason why I don't have a thief included here or a rogue is because I think rogues require a bit more of kind of like a tactical aspect to the game. Not saying that, you can't play them, it's just that I think they're not very practical, especially unless you're like really, really experienced with the game. Of course, it's all based on preference. If you guys want to play a thief, go right ahead. I'm playing an assassin, so I suppose I shouldn't be one to talk. If you put it in a party perspective though, let's take the 3 classes we have. We have the Berserker to be the bruiser for the team. They deal strong melee damage, and they soak up a decent amount of hits. Then the Heavy Gunner can rain hot death from the backline, and the Priest can keep both of them safe in the middle while covering the magic damage department to a fair extent. One final note, team composition matters a ton in this game. You can't make an entire party full of DPS classes, not entirely anyway, and expect to do well, especially in boss raids, so coordinate with your friends and guildmates to make structured raids before you sink your teeth into this game. Although I may be overestimating the importance of this topic, we're gonna have to wait and see now, don't we? That wraps up for this video. If you made it all the way to the end, just remember the thing I said at the very beginning. Play whatever you like. Don't play a class just because they're meta or just because no one else will. If you and your friends want to make an all thieves party or an all archer party, go right ahead. We're not going to stop you. We're all entering this game together, so let's do our best and just have fun. But thanks for watching. Of course, questions are welcome in the description below. Although my knowledge of this game is not quite matured yet, I still have to do some more research. I'm going to be watching more videos, playing more KMS2. And I'm super excited to continue making videos, and hopefully I can get into the closed beta. I didn't get in for the first and second wave of acceptance, but I'm fairly confident I got into the first 10,000 that completed the road trip. So just, I guess, pray for me, guys. Hopefully I can get in. If I don't, I'll just stick to KMS2. Closed beta is only for a week anyway, but it would just be nice. But I'll continue to pump out more content. I only have one final exam left, and I should be all set, and I can't wait to start making videos in the summer. But take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one.